Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Ross, and today I'm going to talk and teach you about several different ways you can use a manipulative called a barculator. A barculator looks similar to a ruler, along with decimals and various fractions on the side. Before you begin, you should make sure that you have the right amount of pieces. Along with the actual barculator, you should have 2 blue halves, 3 pink thirds, 4 orange fourths, 6 yellow sixths, 8 green eighths, 12 peach twelfths, and 24 24ths. These may or may not be the same exact colors that I have in my set, but you can adjust the colors that you have available. The barculator is a great tool to use when teaching your child or students about fractions. You can use this tool for addition, subtractions, fraction and decimal correspondence, and equivalent fractions. Today we are going to practice the use of the barculator in an activity for renaming equivalent fractions. To begin, you should have 2 students who are about the same equivalent height come to the front of the classroom to stand back to back, and explain to the students that they are of equivalent height. Then have those 2 students find 2 other students in the classroom to stand back to them to show equivalent and non-equivalent fractions. Then, after the students are back at their seats, have each of your students take a 1/2 fraction bar and place at the base of your barculator. To let the students get a feel of the fraction tiles, they should be able to play around and see if they can actually build a staircase. They can also take different pieces to see how many different various ways they could form 1/2. See, that doesn't form 1/2. Several students will come up with different patterns, and they can say out loud to you the different colors that they use to create a half. To begin with, you should have your students write 1/2 on a piece of paper. Then they should take their next fraction bar and see how many it would take to equal 1/2. The student should notice that 2 1/3 would not equal 1/2, so they should not write a third down. Then the students can move on to 1/4. 1, 2. So have the students write down on their piece of paper equal sign, and they have 2 1/4. So 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent. Have the students remove their 1/4 bars and move on to the next fraction. The next fraction is 1/6. Students place, like before, how many fractions it would take to equal 1/2. We have, you can count with them, 1, 2, 3. They have 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2 and 2/4. They move on to their next fraction of 1/8. Count with them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Students in about 3rd grade classrooms should be able to complete this activity on their own. Their next fraction will be 1/12. Now the students count out loud. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Have the students write on their paper that it's also equivalent to 6/12. the students remove their pieces once again and move on to 1/24. 1/24 can be complicated because they're so little and students seem to drop a lot of their pieces. So if you have several barculators available, instead of placing them on top of the 1/2 fraction bar, place them in the bar so that they are equal to 1/2 in the fraction on the side of the barculator. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so you go back to your paper with your students and explain to them 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4, 2/4 is equivalent to 3/6, 3/6 is equivalent to 4/8, 4/8 is equivalent to 6/12, and 6/12 is equivalent to 12/24. And all of these fractions are equivalent to 1/2. You can change the fraction with any of them in the same order that you did 1/2. You can use 1/3 as your base and decide how many of each of the fractions it would take to be equivalent to one of another color. After the students have completed various different activities, if they would like, you could go back and try a simple rule with them and ask them, with the pattern that we have going here, how many would there take if you had a fraction bar of 26? And the student should be able to tell that a half is just half of the product. So if you have 12/24, which is exactly 24 cut in half, it would be 13/26. Several students will catch on to this activity and they will notice that they can use different fraction tiles to find the equivalent fraction by using a barculator.